have a wonderful partnership with Columbia College. Karen
Yeah.
Grove and Jennifer Dollar are our
Yes.
go-to people from Columbia College that are going to spend this hour with us today. And we promise we will be done at 5:30 today
Yes.
on time.
And I
So I
really
am
like
going to,
start obsessing about the time. So like if you're getting nervous, like give me I do try to
yeah.
watch that. So yeah.
Yeah, I'll just cut you off. I'll
Yes.
cut you off, Karen. Don't worry.
Good.
But no, welcome, enjoy, engage in the chat. Come off of mute. Karen's gonna ask a ton of questions
Yeah.
to get you engaged. Karen, I will turn it over to you. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Yeah. So this is not like it's not intended to me like talk at you for an hour. Okay. I know
Mhm.
on Zoom it's kind of easy to do that. And I guarantee that I can talk for an hour. Not a problem. Like that's probably trauma. Also, it's like trauma response to fill empty space. But that's okay. I'm working through that. But this, we really want you to, I would love you to be engaged. You can drop it in the chat. You just can come off a mute and talk. Okay. So please feel free to do that. Please take care of your biological needs. If you need to get something to drink, if something that we're talking about feels kind of heavy and you need to stand up and stretch and shake it out, fine. I am not, that's not my goal is to trigger you or do anything like that. But sometimes just things hit funny on a Tuesday afternoon that you might, just kind of call attention to. I'm trying to let these folks, there we go. So
Got it.
you got to thank you. I know that's again a nice trauma response as well. I try to overdo. You know how that goes. So I'm going to pull up my screen, get our slideshow showing. Jen, my partner in crime, may or may not jump on, and that is absolutely fine. She's traveling, and I hope she is living her very best life. But I am Karen Grove. I am the program director for our Master's in Trauma Informed Education. And like Craig said, thrilled to be a partner with PSTA. We've been doing this. I will share with you whatever you like. We're right down the road. If you're looking for a master's degree, come and talk to me. We'll share all the contact information. But this is not a timeshare. There's no commitment. Okay. I'm not going to harass you. And that's the end of it that I will share. But so let's kind of check in on a squirrel scale for a Tuesday. Which squirrel is talking to you? Which one is feeling, which one's kind of you? And yeah, let me, where the, I'm trying to run this thing. There was the chat. The chat just dropped off the screen. So anybody feeling oh, I got a 4. Yeah, I do love that one. A 3. Yeah. A bunch of 3s, a 5s. I was feeling a 5 earlier. It's been a long day. Yeah. Yeah. Same. I think I would have said 5 about 30 minutes ago and then chasing his tail. Yes. Or my cat chasing it. That's kind of what I'm feeling like, right? Yes. But then I kind of just went in and just like laid down. I don't know what that does for me, but just laying horizontally just makes everything feel okay. And then I was like, okay, let's go. So I'm so excited to be here. 2, curious. Love that one. Yeah. 3, definitely. I'm not quite hungry yet, although I was feeling a 9 earlier today. Good. These are just fun ways, if you're in the classroom or even just doing a presentation, just a fun way. It's very low risk to kind of put up some funny pictures of animals. They have celebrities, they have anything. If you just look for like SEL check-ins or meme check-ins, they have like SpongeBob and Barbie. They have all of the things, and it's just kind of a fun way to start the conversation. So we always like to check in and see how you're doing. So it looks like everybody's good, and my computer's not going to forward. There we go. Again, I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of time on this. I said it earlier about like if something does, this is a safe space. And so I hope that you feel safe to share. If not, send me an email. You can, if you want to follow up with something, drop it in the chat. You can even do that, I think, anonymously if you need to. But no judgment. Nobody's going to say, where are you going? Why are you off your screen? We're not going to do that. So just, we appreciate your presence and your engagement when you feel like you can. Okay. All right. What in the world is trauma? I'm just going to open it wide open. Now, of course, you can read the description, which is very poor presentation skills. But like when we say trauma, what is it that you're thinking? What comes to mind? Just if we can get a few ideas, because then Dr. Gabor Mate is going to share triggers. Yeah, thank you. Definitely. We hear that word all the time, right? And our triggers, social media kind of has that to be, oh my God, if they build another Starbucks on this corner, I'm so triggered, right? Is that a trigger? No. Yes, extreme, emotional, when something bad happens. Absolutely. So that's kind of the big T of trauma. Like when we see it, we know it, right? Perfect. Those are great. So this definition too, SAMHSA describes the individual trauma as it resulting in physical or emotional harm or life-threatening. But I'd like to kind of extend that definition. And this video is literally not even 2 minutes, so it's real short. But Dr. Gabor Mate is pretty renowned in the work of trauma, has amazing books. I don't know that I've linked this one, but I'll tell you about it afterwards. But so we're going to listen to and there's 3 good points in here. So see if you can kind of connect to any of those 3. So here we go.
Trauma is not what happens to you. It's what happens inside you. That's a good thing, by the way. Because if trauma, in terms of what happened to me as a Jewish infant under the Nazis, if that was the trauma, I'll never be a person who wasn't a Jewish infant under the Nazis and during that period of genocide. If trauma is the fact that you were abused as a child, you will never be a person who wasn't abused as a child. Trauma can also be inflicted not by what happens to you, but what doesn't happen that should happen. So that when your needs aren't met, that can wound as well. Even though you weren't overtly hurt, you were still wounded by not having your essential human needs met. But if that was the trauma of what happened to you, guess what? It'll never unhappen. But if trauma is what happened inside you, the wound that you sustained, the meaning you made of it, the way you then came to believe certain things about yourself or the world or other people. And if trauma was that disconnection from the authentic self, well, guess what? Good news. That can be restored at any moment. So that's why, Sharon, when you talk about the new view of trauma, when we see it as that wound, as long as we see it that way, it's a wound that can be healed. If we see it as a bunch of things that happened, that'll never unhappen. But we don't have to, the biggest lesson for me, and one I continue to have to learn, is that we don't have to allow it to define our lives, how we see ourselves, how we see the world, how we relate to the world, other people, how we relate to possibility, how we relate to even spiritual transformation.
Any thoughts? Anything that he said was kind of like,
Karen, that was good. So I'll kick us off.
Yeah.
When he said disconnect from your authentic self,
Yes.
that spoke to me a lot.
Yeah.
Because then he goes to say, well, that can be repaired, that because you know who your authentic self is. So this is what's happening inside of you.
Yeah.
And you're aware of it.
Yeah.
So this is not me. Like my reaction is not who I am at my core.
Correct.
And so I need to figure out ways to get back to my authentic self. So for me, that's what spoke to me the most in that.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other thoughts about like that authentic self? I will tell you as a 55-year-old, like maybe it's age, I don't know. I really am not sure about who my authentic self might be. Isn't that kind of sad? But like we've spent, like, I guess your age, your where you were brought up, your things that you're exposed to, and like what do I really like? I know what I'm supposed to like. I know the job I was supposed to, that you know all the things that you do, but like, is that connected to who you are? And I think that's why sometimes that authenticity, I think people are looking for that, not only in other people, but themselves. Like, what do I really want? That we struggle with, like long-term goals. Like, where do you see you do? Thank you. Thank you for validating. But it's like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I'm like, dude, I don't see myself next week. Like, I have no idea, because it's like it just shifts and changes. And I kind of enjoy that kind of, like, what's coming next? I don't know. But it's hard sometimes to really know what you want. Yes. Yes. Thank you, Brittany. I still don't know me either. I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. Absolutely. No. It's like, thank you. Y'all are making me feel so not crazy. I appreciate that. Yeah, Brittany, exactly. So how he said it's not necessarily what you can see, but what can't be seen. And that's the part about trauma where we all automatically think it's something that happened to you. Boom, it's an event. It's a situation. It is how you grew up. So maybe there was that you experienced poverty or impoverished situations, or you didn't have enough food to eat, those kinds of things. But what I love about this short video is it's not only what happened to you, but it's also what didn't happen for you. So think about like people that you know, students that you serve, colleagues that you work with. What might have they and you, spoiler alert, what might you not have received that you needed as a child? So it's not overt abuse, not overt neglect. You had roof over your shoulder, your head, all of those things, but you still might have been missing validation, trust, being told I love you. Yes. Yeah. And it appears that I'm looking off to the side, which it makes me look crazy. So they'll just move my thing. Yes. Oh, y'all are so perfect. Yes. Validation, being told I love you. Mm-hmm. Do you know students that they don't hear that? Or I trust you, or I know you're going to do a good job. We have sometimes students and adults come into the space and it's like, well, I know I'm not going to do I'm terrible, I'm lazy. Like, no, who said? But those years of conditioning, and we start to believe it. Yeah, showing affection. Absolutely. Great work. Yes, that's where it is. So it's not only what happens to you, it's what didn't happen for you. And it's that disconnection from the authentic self. The other piece, and I get so distracted. My ADHD is just raging. I tell each and every one of my students, I love you. Have a good afternoon. Yes, because you don't know that they hear it. I tell my college students after every day, I love you. I can't wait to see you again. Have a great weekend. Go have some fun. Go have some, so they hear those messages. That's so important. Yeah. And the other part that he said, now I go back to is that trauma is how it's stored in your body. So this is how, when we have siblings, you may have siblings that you grew up with. Yeah. So maybe, and I'm an only child, so I like, kind of like, I don't know. But you might have experienced the exact same situation, and some are fine. It just, yeah, whatever. That's just how it is. And others, it might have been truly traumatic. So trauma is not one of those checklists that we can say, okay, these bad things happen to them, so they have trauma. It's so independent and so individual, because again, we can all go through the same situation, but it's how it's stored in our body. Yeah, so let's look at, okay, so thank you, EC. Let's say I'm at high school and I've been fretting with them when they walk in. So I want to make sure that they feel seen. Yes. And so why might they not feel seen? Anybody, like something that we might have a little situation in with our lives and society and stuff are these phones, right? It's easy to hide behind a keyboard or a screen, and you have like this almost fake persona, but we don't really see who's behind that. And that's comforting sometimes for them and safe for them, when that authentic piece may not be in their situations. No worries. Oh, I know I said fretting. I'm sorry. That's okay. I just assumed that. Thank you. All right.
Well,
Question?
and our kids now can't have the phone.
Correct.
So if they're a senior in high school and they've been looking down for 2.5, 3 years until this went into effect, so 2.5 years,
Yeah.
and not talking to anyone else, now they're coming in and we're really making them put it away. They don't really know where to look, what to do with their gaze. It's a whole new social experiment almost.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And that can be traumatizing, because if people, and depending on, again, is it for everybody who's traumatized? Absolutely not. Some kids, when they walk in their house, they can't have their phone, or maybe they can only have their, it's very heavily scheduled and, observed and structured. Others might not have that. So they don't really know what to do with that. What do you mean go talk to somebody? You've seen they struggle with like picking up the phone, just call the doctor's office and make an appointment. They're like, oh my God, like, are you kidding me? Right? Because we've kind of allowed them to feel safe behind that screen. And can I text? So yeah, these are real things. It's easy as a 55-year-old to go like, oh my gosh, just pick up the phone and call them, make the appointment. It's not a big deal. But it is a big deal when you've never had to do that and no one's really shown them. I was talking to Craig earlier about the mentoring with our students at Columbia College, and what a gift it is for him to be such a spotlight in their life to show them these things. How does it look to be a professional? How does it, look? How does it sound? How does it feel? Because Craig is such an amazing role model that he shows them how to be respectful, emotional. Like, it's okay to get upset with something. So just what a gift. And I wish all children had that. I wish they had it in their homes, but when they don't, they come to us and we're up at bat. Yeah. Right. Okay. So thank you, Stephanie, for saying that, because as a retired teacher, our new teachers really hated calling parents, like worst thing ever. Does anybody agree with that? It was like, please don't make me call these people. And it's like, no, I promise, if you call them, they're thrilled. But it's terrifying because you don't know what to expect. And so that's that piece of safety when we talk about trauma and creating trauma-sensitive, trauma-informed spaces. They don't feel safe because they don't know what they're going to get on the other side of that line. So as administrators, as leaders, as just humans that have done this for a while, it's very important to show and to model and to teach them here's a script. Here's what you say. And you might even have to sit beside them for a little bit. Like, go ahead and call them. I got you. If they say something crazy, I'm here. I can help, right? Because they do that. Yeah, EC, it really does make a huge difference because they're used to that phone call. They're used to that face-to-face, or at least phone call, voice connection. Yeah, so good. Oh, y'all, we should do like a joint. I'm scared it did go. Okay. So I will be glad to send you, I can drop the link once I kind of stop trying to juggle all the things with this video. If you've never seen Dr. Nadine Burke-Harris, it's about a 15-minute video. So of course that would be like almost my whole time. It is absolutely profound. And she is I always want to say the Attorney General. Anywho, she's a pediatrician in California and worked with back in the late 1900s, like most of us were already working, with ACES and how childhood trauma has impacts on long-term health outcomes. That's where the research started. So there are 10 types of trauma based on, I knew that was going to, hold on. We're not going to watch it. Hold on. It just always does that. So, and we're not going to spend too much time on here, but so adverse childhood experiences, has anyone heard of that with ACEs? Or you might have heard of ACEs. Okay. So basically, this quiz is that you give yourself a point for every one of these things that you experienced in your home before the age of 18. So very briefly, 67% of people, 2/3, have at least one ACE. That's a lot. When you get up to like 4 ACEs, it's about 25% of people have 4 or more ACEs. And then, the numbers kind of go down. But also with the number of ACEs that you add up, the health outcomes are hugely impacted. We're talking stroke, we're talking cancer, we're talking autoimmune diseases. We're talking all of those things are connected to the adverse childhood experiences. And it will blow your mind how much it's all interconnected. Like we've always talked about our brains and how we learn, but we've never really connected it to the rest of our bodies. So a quick little book is The Body Keeps the Score. Has anybody heard of that one? It's kind of a tough read. It's not easy, but especially if you start getting in the index or the table of contents, it's like, oh, I want to see about that. You can kind of read, but it really connects how we store trauma to the health outcomes. Yeah. I'm checking the chat to make sure. Okay, so we're going to keep on scooching. We're not going to talk about types of trauma. I think we're good. But I think this is profound. And I'm going to stop at about halfway. You'll get the kind of gist. Trauma, I wish we kind of had these speech bubbles that you're going to see shortly. So I'll just be quiet and let you see. I'll just play like a minute of it just to keep it quick. Did I literally not push? Oh, there we go. Jeez. Sorry.
Karen, is it volume supposed to be with it? Okay.
Nah, it's just instrumental. The words, there we go. Okay. You get the point. So we keep continuing, but it's so helpful that you can see what's bothering them, what's on their mind. And if we were face to face with a long time to kind of be with each other, we have asked people to write down what's on their speech bubble. And it is absolutely humbling what people are carrying with them. Even though we're sitting here, maybe here or maybe at school, and we're smiling and we're laughing and we're engaged, But these pieces are always that we're carrying this. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yes, it was just thank you. No sound. It was just instrumental. And sometimes it's loud. Can you hear me? Because I did turn down my sound. Okay. So don't you wish sometimes we could see, and sometimes we even look at children and go like, what's wrong with you? And they're not always able to articulate. I was up really late last night because, whatever happened. Or this happened in my neighborhood over the weekend, and I'm really upset by it. They don't have the language for that. So as educators, it's really important for us to assume, it's kind of like that, is it OSHA? I think it is. The hand washing and the bloodborne pathogen. That's what it is. You have to watch that you have to watch the bloodborne pathogen. It is OSHA. Okay. I don't know why I was going different. So trauma-informed work is very similar. You have to assume that everybody has a contagious disease, right? So that's where the hand washing and the gloves and all of the precautionary things, we have to assume that things are going on, even if they don't tell us, even if their behaviors aren't showing it, or even especially if they are showing it. Yeah. So this is always weird to me how it will not move, but let's try. Oh, it did. Yay. So let's talk briefly about the brain. As educators, what do we know about the brain? Do you know anything about the brain?
It's inside my head, I think.
Definitely inside your head for the most part. It runs everything, right? Yeah. But so it's always baffled me, even as a student, we never taught this stuff, like how your brain really works. It's like you have to learn this. And how to learn it, you just have to read it several times or write it down, and then you'll learn it, right? So now I think hopefully it's 2025. Yes, brain and body are connected. Yes, you're advanced. So yeah, your brain, these things are going on in our brains all the time, and we're completely oblivious to it. And even as educators, we don't really understand how all this works. So the purpose in this, especially today, is just to kind of give you a quick hit of what two parts do, really two. That's it. There are many more parts, but here we go. So the amygdala is this little pea-sized little, I don't even know, it's not an organ. It's up in there in the middle of your brain, right behind kind of your eyeball. It is ready to go at birth and already going before birth. So as soon, I'm not sure when gestationally it is fully formed, but it is not something in your brain that grows and develops. It is ready to go. And the amygdala is responsible for our emotional pieces, also your safety. It is constantly scanning the environment to keep you alive. So it's in charge of fight and flight, freeze. And it works in conjunction with your hippocampus, which we're not really going to go into because I could talk about that forever. But even though, so that amygdala, imagine a little baby. And how does a baby communicate to us? Does it say, excuse me, ma'am, you fed me 4 hours ago and I'm really hungry? Is that what babies do? No. What do? They just cry, right? So when a baby cries, what should we do? I know this sounds really ridiculous. You would hope that the parental figure would go and maybe pick the baby up. So maybe we have a little attention. Maybe we check for wet diaper. We check for hunger. We check for pain. Oh, is that little sock is a little tight, right? But it's our jobs to really figure out what those cries are all about. If a parental figure does not do that, what's happening? That amygdala is going, I'm crying and crying and crying, and no one's coming. No one's checking. I'm still hungry and I'm crying. So do you know what happens in orphanages, and I will kick it to another country just for not to be traumatizing, but I had some relatives that were adopted from a Russian orphanage. Do you know what happens to babies in these orphanages? You know what they stop doing? Crying. Why? That's really sad to me, by the way. That's their only tool. And why do they stop? Yeah.
No response.
There's no, why bother? That one tool of communicate, their needs aren't met, and it doesn't matter. And it's devastating. So the amygdala is taking in all of these things and storing it in the hippocampus that even if I ask for help, I'm not going to get it. So those internal messages become, as you get older and with language, maybe I'm not worthy. Maybe no one loves me. And those internalized messages get stuck in those messages that we tell ourselves. You can ask people that have been on the planet a really long time, and sometimes those messages are still really clear that they're not good enough. And it really had nothing to do with them, but we're talking about the capacity of the adult that was in charge. So this amygdala is working 24/7, 24/7, even when you're sleeping. Have you ever woken up? It's like, oh, like, what's that? That's because your amygdala is like, hey, just heard something in the other room. Like, you need to get up. Right? So this too, we think about like when traumatic things happen, that we can look at it. Sometimes they call that a big T. So like if I showed you or said some words about trauma, we would all go, oh yeah, that would be traumatic. The little T's that might differ for person to person. Okay. But, oh God, anyway. Well, I started going down a tangent. Yes. All right. Any questions about this? I'll remember it and it won't make sense. So I'll remember not to say it. Okay. Good. Okay. So it's happening 24/7. That's what I was saying. And as a baby, they say, see how that happened? That they won't remember. So these babies that are in Russian orphanages, they won't remember that. So if you adopt them at 3 months, 5 months, 6 months, they're not going to remember that. But guess what does remember that? Their bodies. Yeah, their bodies remember that. So that deep-seated story that we then tell ourselves kind of becomes our, talk about purpose. It's a hard one to fix. Yeah. All right. So let's move on from amygdala, because this is the part where I think there's a disconnect in our school system, because it's a disconnect for everybody. It's not school's fault. It's everybody's fault. So the prefrontal cortex. So we talked about the amygdala is the little kind of bean thing right between your eyes, a couple inches back. Prefrontal cortex, right here, right at the front. This is responsible for your organization, problem solving, creativity, your attention, your emotional regulation. When is this fully developed? So we got the amygdala before birth. When is that prefrontal cortex kind of done? I feel like I know Craig.
20s? Is it like 20s?
Yeah.
24, 5-ish, 7?
28's kind of the new. Yeah. 28.
28.
So who in your classroom, not excluding you, who in the classroom's over the age of 28? And we look at children and we punish them because they are not organized, and we dump out their desk and make them clean. We are upset that they don't have their homework that you gave them 3 weeks ago, and that they were supposed to do self-paced and work at home and work. Like, they can't do it physically, emotionally. Their brains are not really set up for that. Now, you can teach it, but you're going to have to teach it a lot in order for them to really own it. So when we're looking in a classroom and maybe a child is dysregulated and got some things going on, we often look at them and go, what is wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Stop it. They don't know. Or usually like when you say like, why did you just push him off the slide? They look at you and go, perfect, Deidre, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And they really don't know. Oh, 1,000 times. How many times have I said this to a kid? What were you thinking? They weren't thinking much because it's just physically not there. So that's that repetition and the lack of shame. Shame drives a lot of why we do what we do.
Karen, can I go back? Can I call my mom when this call is over and say, Mom, I
Yes,
didn't know.
I didn't know.
I didn't know until I was 28. I don't think she's gonna buy it though.
Right. I know. It's the truth. And like sometimes I feel like it's not done, and like at 55, it's not done. Because I do think that like the longer the longitudinal studies become, I really think I don't know if this is ever really fully there, to be honest. But we like look at kids and we expect like these 6-year-olds, 8-year-olds, 18-year-olds to be like so adept at writing all of these 5-paragraph essays and understanding and comparing. They're not. So, but it's our job to teach them. So I think we kind of get stuck in that. But I know it's a rough. So prefrontal. Now my son is now 30, so I kind of like. I told him his time was limited with the excuses, but it's all good. I'm going to skip this one just for time, but this is another really good one about perception of behavior. They explain, because children really can't, most children, I have had children that were very prolific in their explanations, probably because they were told that, but like why they're rude, because they don't feel safe and they just go through. So I can absolutely send you, I know it's going to start if I knew it. Hold on. Me and this, there we go. So what are so let's talk about that before we find out why they think they're rude. What are some behaviors that you see in your classrooms? It is October. Like to me, that was one of the highest discipline referral. The honeymoon is over. Thanksgiving break is too far away. Like, what kind of behaviors are you seeing in class? You can drop it in the chat, come off mute. What you seeing? Maybe nothing. Thank you. Blatantly not doing what you ask. Yeah. Lazy. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. Halloween, my worst day ever. That and Valentine's, I don't know what that is. Yeah, inability to focus for sustained period of time. They just don't care. Yeah. Emotional awareness, control. Yeah. And I could turn, if we have time, I would say, like, what are you feeling right now? Right? Because we have these too. And sometimes our behaviors show it too. Right? Blank stares. Yeah. Talking to talk. Yeah. I love it. So remember when we talked about the arguments are becoming more frequent? Yeah, absolutely. Because everybody's window of tolerance is shrinking. And we probably won't get to that today, but that's what we're talking about. For regulation, and our goal really as adults is to expand that window of tolerance so that they can kind of get into it a little bit, but are able to kind of come back out and not stay in those dysfunctional spaces. Yeah, it really is necessary for our kids and for us. We really, like, how many times has a 6-year-old or 5-year-old or 12-year-old, probably middle school, high schooler, your own children, dysregulated you? you got mad because maybe they slammed a door or they didn't put the, dish in the sink, right? So we've got to stay regulated. That doesn't mean calm, but it just means that you're able to kind of get back in the queue and get back online. I don't know that I did a good job with that all the time as a parent. I wish I knew then what I know now. And also just the pressure of, paying your home and bills and things and, in your 20s and 30s. Like, I don't think I would go back to that. That was really hard. All right. So let's talk about going back to that little amygdala. This is where it starts, about stress responses. So really connecting what we see kind of with the cries in the orphanages. These are cries. Now, to a caveat to all this, stress responses keep us alive. Okay. If a snake suddenly wiggled its way through my screen door, I don't really know what I would do. It would probably not be appropriate to show I would be flipping this table, standing up, jumping up on top of my refrigerator, like out. I would be saying lots of bad words, right? So that's keeping me alive. If I'm afraid of something and I'm like, oh, that's going to bite, that's going to feel really bad, and I'll probably die from, neurotoxins. The fact that I'm not responding is not healthy. It's not life-saving. So exactly, it would stay. That'd be a blooper reel. So stress responses are normal. They are good. They are healthy, and until they're not. Okay. So we're kind of talking about the part. All right. So when people go into fight, so maybe a teacher just said, where's your homework? Didn't I call your mom last night? Maybe calling somebody out in front of their peers. Never probably a good idea, because you're probably going to elicit a response here, right? So if you're in fight, your amygdala's like, oop, we in danger, girl. Let's go. Are we going to duke it out? Now, fight doesn't always mean physical fight, but you could get aggressive with your loud. You could get loud. You could get close. Do you see any of those like kind of puff up behaviors? Yeah. But you can also like demand perfection. Like if you're a perfectionist, I'm recovering. I'm really trying very hard. Defiance. Yes. You told me you ain't the boss of me. You ain't my mama. You can't hit me. I've heard all the things. That's where bullying comes in. Hyperactivity. Like, I got so much energy, I really just need to get out. That can be a fight response. Look at flight. Now, I want you to kind of figure out where you tend to land in here sometimes when things get bad. I know where I do. I'm a professional on some of this. And it's not fight. Usually I just ghost, which is really a flight. I'm a flight risk. If things get too hard or too emotional, I'm like, gotta go. But that's self-preserving. That my body's like, we're out. That's your workaholics. That's I need to stay busy so that I do not have to think about the thing that is waiting for me. Panic and anxiety. This is where that lives. Being disengaged. Fine. I don't care. Go ahead and think I don't care. They do care. But this is that flight response where if I show that I care, then they'll have something on me. So just disengage. I know, Stephanie. That's why I know I'm not trying to step on toes, but this is toe stepping stuff. Let me tell you. And we don't do better until we know better. So it's all just learning how to know better. But yeah, so perfectionists here, avoiding others, skipping classes, skipping appointments, being late. Got any problems with tardies? And unless you're teaching in a high school, 6-year-olds don't drive. At least I hope not. Actually, I have a funny story about, but that's for later. But yeah, so skipping appointments or not coming to class, or even their parent not getting them to school, they could also be in flight because maybe there's an important meeting or an IEP that they're scared to death about. So you know what? They're just not going to go. Did they call? No. That's why. It's not because they don't love their child. I hear that all the time. Like, I've never met a parent that didn't love their child, ever. So freeze. Are you kind of finding where you kind of go? I'm definitely flight and I'm definitely fawn. I can freeze too. So freezing really is that possum. We have a possum that joins our little back porch party at night after all the cats are fed. And so kind of gets little snacks. If I go out there too fast, it goes boop. It just drops. It's safety. Do students do this? Yes. Hoodies? Now, does this mean everybody in a hoodie is having a trauma? Absolutely not. But if it's a pattern and that's their safety, and then what do we do in schools with the hoodies? Hoodies off. You're going to go to detention. You're going to get punished if you're wearing a hoodie. And not saying that you can't have high expectations and that you can't help them through that, but to understand why they have it in the first place is the biggest, most important part. Struggles to make decisions. That is me on a daily. Yeah. Same with phones. Yeah. That's safety. But I tell you what, you want to see, go lose your phone for a minute. My heart, I'm like, oh my God, like what it is. And the MRI data on this shows that addiction to this looks just like your addiction to crack on an MRI. They can't tell the difference. So it's real. Now, does that mean we just give them their phone the whole time? Absolutely not. That's when boundaries, that's expectations, and it's got a high support, high expectations, high support. Or the remote. Yes, Anxious Generation is fantastic. So many good books out there on that. And then the last one I kind of just want to touch on, and we're cool on time for now, is fawning. And that's kind of an understood, but it's really that connection. It's really a fake connection, because I know if someone doesn't like me, they're going to love me. I'm going to make sure it. That one sends me for a spiral. Oh, the book. Yeah, it's very, very good. So write that down, The Anxious Generation, because it is absolutely true. And fawning, people pleasing. Yeah, can you stay after and work all weekend and not get paid? Absolutely, sure. Yeah, because you're my boss and I probably wouldn't have a job. Yeah, absolutely. Defers to others for decisions, lack of boundaries, hard time standing up for yourself, avoids conflict. So not only do students experience this, but we do too. So if we get triggered and we're in a fight response, or any of these with students, they know. Even if they don't see, they don't have this language. They know. Yeah. Yes, in more than one column, 100%. And I think we go through that just depending on situational, who's involved, how our stance is. If we're well rested, well fed, we're probably not going to get to the depth of where we can go with this. But if we're exhausted, it's probably not going to take us very long to get to a dark, heavy kind of place in here. But again, that regulation is, yes, you might slam some doors and you might yell at somebody, but the ability to come out of that, apologize, make amends, not do it again, that's the growth piece. Mm-hmm. Any questions about that, Rod? Not a joke.
So I want to add, Karen, like I feel like as we get older and EC and some other people have, recognized and seen themselves in all of these roles in some part of their lives. I think if we're in an environment, whether it's work or church or home, family, where the people around us care enough about us to know that those are things that we deal with, there's some grace extended. And then the responsibility on us is not to use those as crutches or ways to manipulate situations, but we recognize these things. And it's just like you said, when they happen, we recognize it and we try to self correct, right? And we try to
Absolutely.
self regulate. And so I think it's, it's, it's not such a hindrance. Some of the elements of trauma is not really, it goes back to what you said at the beginning. So it for me is freeing. Like
Yeah.
I've been doing these 3 years in a row, and I get a nugget out of each one that I do. And so for me, it's freeing to me. So I know Tony, who's right next door to me at this office, she knows some of my stress responses, and she's not judging me,
Oh,
right?
right. Sure.
And she's just like, you know what? That's one of Craig's stress responses, and I know the same for her. Like I
Right.
know because we care about each other, we work
That's
with
right.
each other, and
That's right.
so that helps our work environments a ton if we can have people that,
100%.
yeah,
And that's co-regulation. So this
yep,
all starts with self-regulation, because
mm,
until you are aware of this,
yep,
you can't help anybody else.
hmm,
Because if I want to fight you, I can't help you not want to fight somebody. Or if I'm running away, I'm really not going to help you. Absolutely. So you have to, and our jobs to me, this is self-imposed, but I feel like our jobs as adults, especially working with children, it's our job to heal from this. We
mm,
have to do the work. None of us asked for anything that happened to us prior to the age of 18. Nobody asked for that. But as adults, we have to work through that, know that it's not about us. And then what do I do with it? And learning how to be trauma informed not only helps the people that you work with, but it helps you. And I agree, Craig. This feels like freedom,
hmm,
because you're not so worried about what other people think. You're gonna make mistakes. We have like demonized making mistakes.
yep,
So God forbid a kid make a 98 on a test. I mean, whoa. You think that, but I mean, people have real reactions to that. Like, really? That's what this is about. Even in the master's program, I have to have straight A's. And I'm like, why? Why? Do you
mm,
think, and I have said this, I'm like, so like when you graduate, do you think we're going to call out like this person, congratulations to Craig King, he made 4 C's and 2, like, it's about the learning. Yeah, we learn from mistakes, and somewhere along the line we have made mistakes. Not okay. We're told don't apologize to a child. What? What do you mean? Because it
mhm,
shows you're weak. No, it shows you're human. And that's at the heart of all of this trauma informed work, is getting back to that authentic self and the authentic humanness that we have the joy and privilege to work with every day. It's the people. That's what makes everything so great. So we just have to make sure that we show up in our very best authentic selves, and then we can help the students. That's how it works. So it's the self-awareness first, and it's hard. It's not fun. It's not comfortable. You're asking yourself, you're getting curious about, why did that make me so mad? I
mhm.
wonder what that's about. Get curious. You feel triggered? Why? Why'd that 5-year-old get you so under? What did he say to you? Because it's not a them problem, it's a you problem.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, thank you. Great question. Different ways to help each. Honestly, the awareness and then teaching this. Your brain must be in fight or flight. Clearly, you're in fight. I'm not going to rationalize with you while you're in any of these, because your brain is streamlined on surviving. So when they're able to come out of it, that's where the education piece starts. Wow, I really saw you get really upset when Craig said that you couldn't borrow his crayons. Like, tell me about that. And just listening and helping them piece together. Because if kids pitch and throw in a desk, that's not the time to say, oh, I see you're angry, right? Not the time. Awesome. It is 5:27. I'm scared to go. Yeah, we'll do that later. Any questions, final thoughts? I think that's what a beautiful question, though. Honestly, you have to know about yourself before you can really help other people. And because once you understand about yourself, you know what helps you. Yeah. Oh, you're so sweet, Julie. Thank you. It's so good, y'all. And there's so many great books. So while I have like 1 minute and then I'll be quiet and go. The Body Keeps a Score. I already said that was Bessel van der Kolk. It's not an easy read, but good. What Happened to You is one of the first like books that came out, and it's by Dr. Bruce Perry and Oprah Winfrey. And that is absolutely fantastic. And actually, you know what? I think I did actually link these. And so I'm going to try not to give y'all a headache. There we go. This is what that looks like. So What Happened to You, Bruce, and they actually have it on audio. I just made up a new word, audible or audio, because who doesn't want to listen to Oprah Winfrey? Because it's just such a smooth conversation. It's a very quick read, but this is really the crux of where all of this work started. Body Keeps a Score, and that was it. Sorry. But I'll share more next time. And thank you for sharing The Anxious Generation. I will absolutely add that because that's a good one too.
All righty. Thank you, Karen, so much. Always a wealth of knowledge. I gained so much from today. A few wrap up items. There will be a wrap up email sent out to you probably tomorrow afternoon. I'll have the link to Karen's PowerPoint, the certificate for you attending today, links to all the videos, which will be in the PowerPoint already. And I'll also have the YouTube video link that you can rewatch this. If you are in the replay and you need credit for this, the video will also be uploaded in our on-demand professional development portal here at PSCA, that you can have access to receive credit. As I do all the time, I'm going to pick a person for us to go have dinner with tonight. And that person is EC, since she's upset with me. So I'm going to choose EC. So EC, what are we eating for dinner tonight before we sign off?
My college kid just left and I think he cleaned out my fridge, so it might be a bowl of cereal.
Hey, cereal is okay with me.
Works. Yeah.
Fun fact, strawberry Cheerios, Honey Nut Cheerios mixed together in a bowl, almond milk is
Ooh.
delicious, by the way.
I love it.
Thank you so much. We hope for you to join us next month. You can go ahead and register for next month. Tell your friends at your schools and your district and any colleagues you have across the state about this. Karen and Jennifer are going to keep going deeper into trauma as we go along for the rest of the year. Come off of mute and tell us good night, and we will see you soon.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
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 Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.